Back to Project Unpolished. So now it's episode 4, and I was thinking the other day about the previous episodes that we've done that I just need to say that I'm super proud of myself actually to be able to put myself out there and talk about all those things, which is quite hard sometimes. And also, I mean, first time doing this kind of stuff, so we'll see. Maybe it gets better and easier. I don't know. But anyway, today's episode is gonna be about the approval. We talked about it a lot in the previous episodes, but now we're gonna speak a little bit more specific what it really means and the approval, especially from my family side. So if we scroll back time a little bit to my gymnastics time when I was a little kid, imagine, my mom was the coach, so she was picking the athletes for her team, and I mean, just imagine the like being the kid and wanting to be chosen by the coach, but then your coach is also your mom, so it's like double up and trying to get accepted, kind of. I trained a lot of gymnastics with her and in her team, but in the end, I never got picked because I was a little bit too clumsy and too tall, and I just didn't have like the gymnastics aspect, which of course was hard for me. But then I'm always seeking for other sports and trying to get the approval other places. And for example, I played basketball for a long time, and an example there was that I always wanted her to come to my games to watch me play because I mean, my sister was a national champion and she was great in what she did. And I also wanted to be great. And I wanted my mom to see that and see that, okay, I'm not good at gymnastics, but look at me now when I do basketball. I mean, that's been something that was going on in all my sports. And unfortunately, she wasn't there for a lot of the games. And it's been haunting me up until today because I've always been thinking that getting the approval, like having her there and watching me achieve something would make me feel more loved, kind of. Yeah, like even now with CrossFit, I thought that achieving more and becoming a great CrossFit Games athlete will make her more interested in what I do and be there and support me. But it didn't really happen. So I think I'm kind of happy that it happened some way because it made me realize that I don't do the sport for her or for anyone else. I do it for myself. And I don't do it to get approval or to be more loved because I know that the people I have around me today, they love me no matter what. And like even though I wouldn't qualify for the CrossFit Games, I know they love me. So yeah, I think it was good that it happened and that I know today that I do the sports because I want to inspire people rather than proving something or getting the approval.
Where did you feel the turn from seeking approval to accepting that you are enough in the name of sports?
I think if we scroll back time, yeah, just 2 years. I mean, I've been seeking to qualify for the CrossFit Games a couple of years, but it started, yeah, 2 years ago, I would say, when I tried to qualify for the CrossFit Games, but it didn't happen and things went wrong already qualifying for the semifinals. And I got a mental coach helping me throughout the season and just having the help and then knowing that everything is okay no matter what. And for example, I had a lot of talks with my boyfriend about that. Like, do you love me even though I don't do this? Because it was a lot of pressure saying to him that, okay, now I go all in and I want to qualify for the CrossFit Games, but what if I don't qualify and I've gotten all in and I've done a lot of sacrifices both for him and like family and life in general? Maybe he would hate me, or maybe he would think that I'm not good enough anymore. But that wasn't the case, and he told me that he loves me no matter what. It doesn't matter of what I do or what I achieve. It's who I am. And I think that's so important, and that sort of like made me realize a little bit more. And also this year when I did qualify for the CrossFit Games, I mean, I was super sad and upset that I didn't have my family backing me up through both semifinals and the games. And sometimes you can be a lot of jealous and looking at all the other athletes. They have such a support network and they have their family around, and they come to all the competitions and so on. But in the end, when I didn't have that, it made me just realize that it doesn't matter, because I mean, I've been talking with my mom and she still supports me. It's just in another way, and it's okay because she's still there. And more importantly, I have beautiful friends and I have my boyfriend that I have the biggest support from. And I think even though it hurts that it's not your own family that's there, you just need to understand that you can get support from other people as well. And yeah, I think that's a good point.
Do you think it's easier to find the approval within the CrossFit community than the other sports you've been doing, or is it a common theme?
I don't think that it's like this, especially CrossFit, that brings me the approval. I think it's sports in general, or just being physical active. I mean, I loved playing basketball when I was a kid, and it got taken away from me when we moved out of town, and I was too young to travel to the into the town to play basketball. So unfortunately, I had to stop because I didn't have the support or the resources to be able to get to the trainings. So I had to seek other sports. Then I went into soccer, played that for a couple of years. I got a ACL knee injury, so that got taken away from me. That was so tough. I remember, like, I don't love running, but having a knee injury and laying down for weeks, it just made me realize like how much I love sport and just being able to run and feel free. And then, so I never came back to football because I was too afraid of that would happen again. And I'm just that kind of person that I when I do something, I do it 100%. That I can't do it 95%. And I couldn't do that with football, with soccer, since I had the knee injury and it was always in the back of my head. So I stopped, and then I went back to basketball actually, because then I was a bit older, so I was able to travel myself. And I just fell in love immediately again. It was like it was yesterday. I would play basketball and it was amazing. And we put a lot of focus on rehabbing the knees to make sure that a happening like that wouldn't happen again. And unfortunately, it did happen on my other knee. Second time, you would say like you get used to things that happens and you know how to erase from them, but no, really you don't. I'm sorry. It doesn't get easier, but because when certain things happen, you always question yourself like why me, and why did it happen, and I think that's the hardest part with a lot of things, that just the why. What you learn is, of course, how to get out of it, and you always get out of it even stronger. And yeah, so going from a lot of sports with the injuries that I had, I think CrossFit was the option, a good option for me, because I felt going back to the community, felt like a sport. You had a lot of people around you, and I was able to perform 100% without thinking of or being afraid of the injuries I had. And since sports is such a big deal for me and so important to be able to move and to do incredible things, it was just the great fit to do CrossFit.
Do you think that throughout the self-work you did with acknowledging that approval was not everything, there must have been some part of you where, I'm imagining that approval was what was fueling your fire for a long time, but when you started to recognize that this was not the main goal, like, how did you keep yourself engaged?
Yeah, I mean, so we all have our whys why we do things, and since the approval have been a part of why I did things, especially like both the approval of doing it for others and getting love, but also like proving people wrong that didn't think that I could do certain things. That's been my fire for a long time. But now when I realize that, both realize that it shouldn't be that, but also that finding another why would be more healthier for myself. It was hard. The transition was hard, and it was definitely, I was definitely confused of like, so why do I do this? But I found out that I can actually use kind of the same approach, but I twist it to be inspiring instead. So now I'm doing it for others still in some way, but I'm doing it in the matter of that I want to inspire people rather than thinking that I do it for them to get loved.
You're doing it for your own approval.
I'm doing it for my own approval. Yeah, so having the approval from my mom my whole life, it's also a lot about being recognized or acknowledged for what I do, and that what I do matters, because I think it's not even my own mom. I think it's everyone's mom. They want you to succeed in life. They want you to have a great education, go to school, and after like get a good job and earn money and being stable and being comfortable in life. And that's not the way that I wanted to go. And I mean, choosing the sport instead is a little bit going beyond the norm and maybe a lot more uncertain than what my mom had wished for. But that's what we're going to talk about a lot more in the next episode. So I hope you liked this episode and still want to keep listening and hearing more about what it's like to go beyond the norm and do the things that society haven't taught you. And again, I appreciate a lot if you show the appreciation with like and subscribe, and hope to see you for the next episode, Project Unpolished.